Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting session of Sage Against the Machine. I want to talk about this guy right here. It's a friend of mine, Reverend Luke Linden, the pastor of the United Church of Christ. An all-around swell dude, okay? This guy is cool, interesting, thoughtful, educated. If you like your spirituality in a interesting, compelling way, this is the guy for you. He is not your father's pastor, I don't think. I don't know who your father is, if he was a great pastor, but this guy is awesome. Luke has recently experienced death threats, and not even death threats, but people actually, a human, threatening to burn his church to the ground. It was in response to a February 8th newspaper article where Luke Linden personally supported the LGBTQ anti-discrimination measure that's going on in Medina City. I was born and raised in Medina, and I haven't lived there, 15 years or so, but I feel like I get it. I get Medina. And I can understand why Medina is being challenged, spiritually and emotionally and theoretically with anti-discrimination measures for the LGBTQ population. I get it. They're Medina. They, you just want to pat them on the head or something. I don't know. They're fine. They're fine humans. They're just over there in a little island called Medina. And for all the people that are listening that live in Medina, including Luke Linden, obviously I am overgeneralizing and stereotyping an entire population of a city, which is, something I try not to do. But you can, I don't know how many gay pride parades are going on in Medina right now, but I would say not a lot. Not a lot. So anyways, there was a guy that made a phone call that, just flipped out and, threatened Luke's church, threatened Luke, just the whole deal. And it's weird getting death threats, okay? It's a weird, complicated emotion. It's like, what's it like? I don't know what it's like. I can't make any comparison would not be probably amusing or accurate or fitting for such a wholesome show as Sage Against the Machine. It's just a weird feeling because, look, here you are. You're out there attempting to be a good human, okay? You're just hey, I feel about this topic. I have an instinct that draws me to participate in this topic. And you're like, I'm helping, I'm making things better. And then somebody out of the blue comes around and, calls you or tracks you down on social media or emails you or messages you and just, wants to kill you for trying to do good. And it causes your little human mind to scrunch up into like that look of like, what? You just don't really understand what's going on, because you're like, I'm not trying to bother anybody. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I just see this other group of people that could use some help, or I see this issue that could use some help. And then out of the blue, people want to kill you. They do. I think anybody that tries to do anything to change the status quo is looking at some high quality death threats. Anything that is different than right now is going to really piss somebody off. Really, really, really piss somebody off. And what was interesting was, and I couldn't find it, but I think I read an article about, Reverend Luke Linden saying he was trying to deal with his anger issues, and he was seeing a therapist. And I can't find that article, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And that amused me because I am oftentimes battling my own anger issues. And I haven't talked to him about it, in too much detail, but I'm curious what causes his anger in this situation, right? So, and I can't assume, so I'm just going to tell you what causes my anger in the situation. And for me, it's not so much the death threats as what the death threat represents. So, like, a person that likes to threaten people because you're trying to do something that is meaningful to you is representing a certain percentage of the population. Now, obviously, most people, thank goodness, aren't running around threatening to kill people because they happen to believe something different. Like that we have difference of opinions. But I do believe there are people that are very upset when anybody tries to stand up for literally anything. Like literally anything. Like I think of this that 16-year-old young woman, what's her name? Greta Van Fleet, is that her name? No, Greta Van Fleet is an American rock band. Greta, environmentalist. I'm going to find out. Greta Thunberg, Swedish environmental activist on climate change. Yes. Definitely she's receiving death threats because, she cares about the environment, and she got a little bit of a platform, because she was born in 2003, it's 2020, so what does that make her, 17, about 17, and, she was doing this since 2018, so, I think the reason people are interested in her is because they're like, well, what am I doing? Like, here's a 16-year-old young woman who's like, hey, I care about the environment, and then all these people that care about the environment aren't doing anything, and I think it just is like interesting, and so it makes people, it just piqued people's curiosity and gave her a platform, and that upset anybody who's against helping the environment. Which incidentally just strikes me as odd. Okay? I'm my issue is homelessness. I'm like Luke's is well, just the one he's particularly focused on here is the LGBTQ. IA. I like to add the IA because why not? You just gravitate towards something and you're just like, I want to do this. And, like you're just doing it. You're like, but the environment, it's, I guess, I don't know. I sometimes think that like, I do think there's an element of truth that like conservatives are oftentimes really angry at liberals and vice versa. But I think like sometimes it seems to me, I don't know if this is true. Maybe because, I consider myself a liberal, but like it does seem that sometimes if a liberal likes anything, a conservative will come along and just hate it because they hate the liberal. I think because, the environment, don't we think that that's something worth investigating because of how entangled we are in the environment and how useful the environment is to our very existence? I don't know. But for some people, it's worth killing a 16-year-old girl over. It is. She's, too something, stupid or whatever. And so, I think for me, that's what makes me angry, is that you have somebody that's, vocally against you for a cause that's fairly benign, right? Like, hey, why don't we help people that, that are living on the street? Or, hey, here's somebody that, happens to be sexually attracted to somebody of the same sex. Why don't we just, treat them equally? Who cares what they do? Or, hey, I like breathing. Like you just like, I don't know, I'm just into these things. And then somebody comes along and you're like, no, you suck. They suck. That issue sucks. And that's what makes me angry. And then I think then to top it off is that those bigotries aren't just secluded to like a few people. It percolates to your government. And then that's what really irritates me. Like in my issue, like, you just imagine that your government is somebody that is, or, is an organization that has some thoughtful people in it. But in reality, it's usually just filled with egocentric, power-hungry, myopic, small-minded people that have never done anything other than be in government. And, they know how to campaign. That's their big contribution to the world. And so you're just out here and you're like, but this issue, this is like a real issue. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I got other issues. I got to make roundabouts. I got to make statues. I got to put, water features in my parks, And I'm like, but there's people living on the street, yo. And they're like, yeah, no. You're stupid. Basically what the mayor said about me. And so I just feel like, for me, that's what makes me irate. And I can't speak to what makes Luke Linden irate, and I don't know if Greta is irate. I don't know. But that's it, that you open your eyes to an issue that you feel is validly important, and then you find out that your entire system gives no fucks. Doesn't care. It doesn't really care. And you're just like, this is madness. Aren't we supposed to be evolved? Aren't we supposed to be better than this? And you're like, no, not really. Nope. And that is infuriating. And so I don't know if you should be angry, if you should not be angry. You have to change the system. The system must change, right? If your government won't help the climate, won't help the LGBTQIA population, won't help homeless people, you have no choice but to change the government. And because they're likely not going to change. Why would they change? As long as they get to still stay in government, like the mayor, for example, he can be the mayor forever. There's no term limits for mayor in Akron, Ohio. So you then you have to change it. And typically in America that involves voting. And that's a long, hard slog. I've been watching the analysis of after Super Tuesday, and the general consensus is that all the young people love Bernie Sanders, but they didn't go and vote. So, maybe... Obviously, the primary is not over, and we, have other states, and we can see how that all goes. But if people don't vote, then what are you going to do? Then the status quo remains the same. If the people that vote are the people that love the status quo, and the people that want change don't vote, then you're kind of fucked, right? I think. I feel like voting we have like some of the lowest turnout voting in all the industrialized nations in the world. It's insanity. And so I think we have to figure something out about voting. We have to get people motivated to go out and vote. And then I heard, people were standing in hours in Texas. So you have a lot of voter suppression. The system wants things to stay the same. So the system is not going to create any new voter ideas, they might tell you to go vote, but they only want their people to go vote. They don't want the opposition to go vote, and so they will continually do things to dampen voter turnout, for people that aren't going to vote for them. It's just common sense, right? That's just what's going to happen. And so I think we need to examine that. I think if we want change in America, we have to get people to vote. I think that's it. I don't know. Feel angry, don't feel angry. I was telling Luke, I've been trying to channel my personal water. I love the idea of water. I love how it crashes onto rocks and it can be so powerful. But it's not angry. It's just water, It comes it can do this drip thing. It can do tsunami things. It can do all kinds of things. Big, huge waves. You got ocean waves, Great Lakes waves, but it's not angry. It looks angry. You might want, if you were writing a poem, you might talk about the anger of water, but come on, water isn't angry. It's just water. And I sort of feel like maybe that's how I want to be. I just want to be a pressure that makes change for my issue, which is homelessness, But I do think that if I could change homelessness, then I think other issues would fall close behind, right? Like if I could change homelessness, I think it could it could affect, well, so the LGBTQIA population is highly represented in the homeless population. And so, we see minorities being overrepresented in the homeless population. But when you don't really care, if you don't really care about black people or gay people or homeless people, then who cares? Who cares? They're just losers. Which is kind of what the stereotype is that people like, I think, to, kind of roll out for homeless people, which is losers. So, anger, I don't know. If you want to be angry, I think you should be angry. I think you should. I'm just kind of in this for the long haul, and I'm trying not to get a heart attack over being angry. But I am trying to create change. And, you can have, I think, maybe swells of anger, but maybe you shouldn't walk around being angry all the time. I'm talking to myself, maybe you should be able to relax, but every once in a while you want to have some rage. By all means, rage. Feel something, for God's sake. Have a passion about something. Don't you care about anything other than Netflix and Amazon? You care about anything out there? Talking to you young people. Anything? Will anything get you off your couch? I want to know. All right, everybody. I got to go. I got a meeting. I love you. I will see you later. Bye.